Hello and welcome to today's web seminar. My name is John Scranton from StartUpSelling. I'll be one of your speakers and your moderator today as we discuss niche marketing strategies for insurance agencies and wholesale brokers. You can enter questions at any time during the webinar via the chat box or question box, and we'll queue them up for a Q&A at the conclusion of the presentation. Now to introduce our speakers. Our guest speaker and color commentator today will be Alan Bloom. Alan's the CEO of StartUpSelling, the author of Your Virtual Success and Sell More and Work Less, and he has engaged in targeted niche marketing to insurance agencies and wholesale brokers for over a decade, and he's written over 150 articles marketing to and for insurance agencies and wholesale brokers as well. To formally introduce myself, John Scranton, I'm an agency marketing pro who was formerly a licensed agent like many of you on the line today, co-author of Sell More and Work Less, and I specialize in niche marketing, as we'll be talking about today, both marketing for startup selling and for our clients. So niche marketing, what do we mean when we talk about that? Well, simply defined, it's concentrating your marketing efforts on a small but specific vertical segment, narrowing your focus from generalism to specialization. You can do this very effectively by finding an underserved or underserviced industry or market segment and developing services to satisfy that underserved or underserviced need. That could be finding an industry that brokers don't regularly solicit and marketing to that industry. It could be a wholesaler finding paper and creating a program for an industry that is currently experiencing a hard market. This allows you to become a big fish in a small pond instead of being a small fish in a big pond, or a tiny fish jumping from big pond to big pond and not making much of an impact. So how does niche marketing apply to insurance marketing? Well, let's connect the dots here. Niche marketing allows you to become a specialist instead of a generalist. When you're talking to people, making calls, meeting with prospects, if you say that you do a little bit of everything, that may not impress them, but if you say you specialize, you truly understand their industry or their business, they may be open to talking to you. We like to see people specialize by choosing an industry vertical. Niche marketing can be achieved through horizontal marketing. We're fans of vertical marketing and especially of attacking industries like transportation or contractors or manufacturing. I've worked with agents before who targeted municipalities or car washes, design professionals, lawyers. When you become immersed and understand an industry, the members of that industry are much more open to talking to you than if you try to be a little bit of an expert in a number of different industries. Now, in addition to being an industry specialist or an industry niche marketer, you can also become a product specialist. And on the next slide, we have some examples of how you can find a specific product or unique niche that you can become an expert, an authority on, and work with people possibly in different industries. Examples include cyber liability. Maybe you understand cyber liability so well that you work with automotive companies and retailers and shopping centers, or you know everything about EPLI for all industries in Southern California. Again, finding a way to specialize in a unique niche as opposed to trying to be something to everybody. You can also do this in benefits. If you know everything about benefits for groups with 2 to 10 lives or 10 to 50 lives, that's good. Even better would be knowing everything about benefits for 2 to 9 lives in New Jersey or about 10 to 50 lives in California. You can also do this with captives. However, it's more challenging as that pitch is much more complex. It's harder to carry that message of we have an offshore captive with a lot of unique nuances, and the marketing can be impacted by that, although not impossible, much more challenging. So Alan, I'd love for you to chime in on niche marketing for agencies and brokers and how you've seen clients of ours and agencies we've worked with define a target niche and begin to engage in their marketing strategy.
So we've seen many great examples of brokers and agencies and wholesalers who've been very successful by becoming an expert in an industry niche. As you mentioned, it could be both from a true industry segment, which could be cross-regional. In other words, you could be an EPLI expert or provide design professional insurance for architects and engineers across the country. Or you could say, no, I am a trucking insurance specialist in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. You can also say I'm and this is a horizontal, I'm a benefit specialist, but I specialize in group benefits for small groups between 2 and 49 people in the state of Michigan. And whenever you differentiate your organization in this way, you have the opportunity to prove your expertise, which we're going to be talking about in a minute. I'll give you an example of this in a different industry. Some years ago, I was one of the principals and the vice president of sales and marketing for an organization that sold a software solution to physician offices. We started out by saying we are experts in medical management software, for example, in Massachusetts. But then we expanded. We became the experts in New England. And then we expanded, we became the experts in the East Coast. And by the time we had migrated through the Eastern United States, we were an Inc. 500 company. And we had grown from revenues of essentially $100,000 a year to revenues of about $15 million a year. So it works really and truly well when you can take that message and carry it to your targeted market, but then of course you have to prove it.
So now that we've decided we're going to become niche marketers as agents and we're going to find our bullseyes, our targets, and hit them, we need a marketing strategy. And we've simplified what we think is a really effective plan to target niche marketing, industry niches into 4 steps. First, building a list, creating a list of all the prospects in that niche that you'd like to sell to. Second, creating or engaging with a marketing firm to develop content so that you can prove to these people that you do have expertise, that you not only understand the insurance needs of that industry, you actually understand their business, that industry itself. Then, launching an outreach plan. We like to do this in 2 steps, email marketing initially with follow-up appointment setting calls. And we're going to dive into all 4 of these in the next part of the webinar here so you can learn how you could apply each one of these steps to your niche marketing strategy. So first, the list. And you'll notice on the list slide we have a big caution sign because we want you to be careful when you're developing your list. And if you could jump to the next slide, Alan. We want you to start with internal resources, resources you already have. Pull all the emails you can from your CRM, collect emails from any existing marketing initiatives, trade shows, any groups or associations that you're involved in that relate to the industry or industries that you're going to be targeting. Find any emails you can that you have access to already because they're likely to be current, they're likely to be from people who already know who you are, and that is your starting point when building your list for niche marketing. However, you may find that that's only 139 email addresses, and that's not good enough for an email marketing or mass appointment setting campaign where you're going to be reaching out to a large group of people, finding those who have pain, finding those who have a need, and arranging a time for you to speak with them. So you'll need to work with some type of outside list vendor. And this is where things can become really challenging, and we strongly encourage all of you who need to build a list to work with an expert if you haven't already, at least until you become proficient in this area, or work with an expert on an ongoing basis. There's many different types of vendors. Some specialize in different industries, transportation, law enforcement, law itself, lawyers. There's different vendors who are better depending on the titles or geography or size of companies that you want, which are all dials you need to turn and be cognizant of when you're pulling your list, because you only want a list that consists of the people who are in your target profile, the right size, the right titles, and of course the right industry relative to the niche that you've chosen to focus on. So Alan, what are your thoughts on list building, the challenges, and how you can most effectively achieve this for agencies and brokers?
So most agencies and brokers and wholesalers that we meet, when we ask them the question early in our discussions, do you have a comprehensive targeted prospect or suspect list? And a suspect list, which many people call a prospect list, is essentially all of the titles, all of the businesses by region, by geography, by size that you wish to ultimately have a chance to carry your message to. For example, we'll go back to our Michigan example. You're selling benefits to small businesses between 2 and 49 employees, so we're not over that magic group number. And you provide expertise, for example, on ACA compliance for small groups and what they need to know, reporting, etc. And you're going to carry that message to which titles? Well, a group of 49 could have a VP of HR and a director of benefits. It's possible. You certainly want to reach out to the CEO, and perhaps they might have a president instead, and the COO or CFO. So for a group of 49, and certainly for a group of 100, you could have 5 or 6 titles that you want to contact. For a very small group, 2 to 5, it might just be the president or the owner. Regardless, we want all these people, we want them in a list, we want business emails, we want to suppress the emails that we have, and then we want the opportunity to get these people to opt in, which is both an art and a science. So the first question you should answer when you leave this webinar today is, do I have my comprehensive suspect list, which includes contact information and as many business emails as possible? If you can answer yes, I do, you're well on the road. You're already started. If the answer is no, you really need to find a path to do that, because if you're going to be selling to a progressively younger audience, one of the ways of reaching them is going to be email and of course social media, which is a different discussion, but certainly you should at least have the digital asset of that quality email list already set up for your agency or broker.
So we've chosen our niche. We've started to build our list. Now as we talk to these people, we want to prove to them that we are indeed specialists in their industry or in their niche, that we actually understand their business and have expertise in their industry. When they see us, we want them to know that we're the authority on transportation insurance or benefits for groups with 2 to 50 lives or whatever it is, the niche that you've defined. And the best way to do this is with relevant and educational content that not only explains to them that you understand how to insure their business, because it's great if you can explain a garage keeper's policy, but content that shows them that you understand how different coverages apply to their business. You know whether or not they need that coverage based on the following criteria, and you can prove that to them in a concise and compelling way. There's many examples we could give, and to relate to some of the examples that we've already talked about today, if you're a benefits agency and you've found your size and your geographic target, you can prove to those people that you understand their concerns or their needs by addressing Affordable Care Act compliance. Based on the size of their business, what do they need to be doing and at what time? For larger groups, you can help them with COBRA. How do they best deal with it? When do they need to offer it? When do they not need to offer it, etc. You can help them address HR needs, ongoing policy changes, employee handbooks, things like that. If you like to write contractors, if your niche is going to be contractors, you can write about safety, OSHA, maybe experience mods, the risk of falls for roofers. If you like transportation, you can help transportation companies address driver retention concerns or recruiting concerns. CSA, FMCSA compliance, in-cab cameras and helping decrease the risk of accidents and collisions by having drivers under some type of monitoring device. And you'll notice that in all of those examples, they're either unrelated to insurance or only indirectly related to insurance. You're not writing about how to save money on your car insurance or how to save money on your liability policy, you're helping them with their business challenges that may relate to insurance and your ability to write their business down the road. But initially, you're just showcasing expertise and proving that you understand their challenges and their needs. So Alan, tell us a little bit more about what content prospects want in your experience.
So when I go to an insurance agency or broker site or wholesaler site, I want it to leap off the page that and it says to me, wow, these people really understand my business, whatever that business happens to be. So if I'm a trucking business and I go to an insurance website and it says that trucking insurance is all we do, and they have blogs on CSA regulation changes, hours of service changes, cameras, truck driver accident statistics, and I can see everything about them says trucking. Now I feel a level of confidence, whether I'm a prospect of theirs in their pipeline process, a client, or a brand new person coming to their website. I really feel good that these people understand me, the business owner. Same thing with whether it's benefits or whether you're contract in OSHA or experience mod factors. So that's the goal. Here at Startup Selling, we strive to do that every day. So if you say, well, Alan, prove to me, how do I know? How do I get that experience? Well, if you were to navigate to our website, everything on our website talks about insurance marketing. We have a video to show that we're cool and that we understand video on our banner. We have recorded webinars, social media opportunities for people, sign-up forms, calls to action, thousands of blogs on different marketing articles. One example, which we talk about agencies having great content out there. One example is I'm a platinum author at eZine. eZine is the leading article resource on the web. They have the leading repository by far, and on them I've already published 136 articles with 16,000 views, and we are a niche player. We look at that as being very successful, but the big thing is, if you were to ask us a question, we can undoubtedly send you to a blog or an article that discusses that, whether it's list building, appointment setting best practices, how you make a vertical call pitch for an insurance agent, whether it's how a wholesaler should be contacting brokers and agencies, how to integrate video into email marketing campaigns, the biggest problems insurance agencies have with email marketing campaigns, A/B split testing, multivariate split testing, you name it, and we can show it. It wasn't immediate, but over time, we've addressed all of them. And what we like to see is with agencies over time, they have a huge cachet, a tremendous amount of, they have cachet and a cache of information where they showcase their expertise in a variety of different media formats. So they become pervasive in that niche. So when a business is thinking of buying contractor insurance, cyber liability, employee practices liability insurance, if they're thinking of trucking insurance in Wisconsin, whatever it happens to be, they already know your agency and know that you are the experts in this area. Once you've done that, you've now succeeded in winning over the hearts and minds of people and helping break down that wall. So when there is a problem a crack in the foundation with another agency or broker, you're the people they think about. So when your agents and producers, when they call them, they're opening to listening to them because they know them and they respect them for being an expert in their field.
And Alan mentioned having a library or a cache or cache. Building your content library begins with a blog. That's where you start. As you're creating content or working with a marketing firm to create content, your blog should be your content repository. If you go to our blog, like Alan said, you'll see over 1,000 insurance marketing articles. You'll see dozens of articles on various article directories as well, but most of the content begins with a blog. Any question that you have can be answered by viewing a blog on our site. Alan and I write them at least on a weekly basis, and then we share them on social media. when you are also creating content and sharing that content on social media, prospects will see that as they come to your site, they'll automatically know that you understand their business. They'll intuitively know, quickly know that you understand their concerns because you'll be writing educational, relevant content. And if you leave a voicemail for or email to or drop by the office of a prospect and they search your name afterwards, they may be driven to your LinkedIn profile or your Facebook page. And that page should at a minimum be current and have the type of niche marketing content that you're creating shared so they can see that you are an authority in their industry. Don't let your social media profiles be a deterrent to new business. They may not close business for you, but don't let them get in the way of you building a relationship with new prospects. So Alan, what else do you want to add about blogging?
Well, blogging, which is a great lead into email marketing, blogging is a great place for agencies to begin. If you can't do it, you can outsource it to a reputable organization that understands insurance agencies or your specific market. But blogging is very effective in carrying your message in a non-salesy way to the people that you want to sell to. And remember, blogging is also fulfillment. People get confused with email marketing. They want a drip campaign and they say, well, I want to tell them about all the great products I can save them money on. Well, everybody does that. That's all you hear about, and that's a great reason to opt out. Whenever I get things I could save money on, usually, invariably, I will opt out. However, regulatory updates, industry news, case studies, all of those can provide great content for your blog, which then can be shared through e-marketing. They go hand in hand. So when we go to an agency website, and these days it's a little less common, fortunately, but we do see it. We'll see an agency, they're a $3 million agency. The website looks like it's 8 years old. It has 24 people on their website. Everything is old. It's a narrow site. It looks terrible. Their blog's out of date 2 years. They have terrible social media profiles, company pages. To us, that's backwards. You're probably better off having a great web presence today than you are having a really great looking office today, because the number of people that are going to see your office is probably 1/100th of the number of people who will see your website and your digital content. So start with a blog, make it relevant content, and then let's talk about sharing. John, why don't you talk about sharing via email?
So as you build your content library, your blog, articles, etc., you want to push this information out to prospects. Some will come to your site and see it, but there's a vast universe that you can reach out to via email and push this content out to them with an outbound niche marketing strategy. The great thing about email marketing, like Alan mentioned, is the best email marketing topics are also the best blog topics: regulatory updates, industry news, case studies, newsletters. Also, webinar invitations, like many of you received and accepted and signed up for our web seminar today. As you're reaching out with email marketing, track your clicks and opens so that you define who has a need, who has an interest in the type of messaging that you have, in the content that you're producing, in what you have to say, because these people will become your best opportunities moving forward in your appointment setting follow-up calls. Alan, why don't you chat a little bit about canned spam and also show those interesting deliverability images that we have on the next slide.
So canned spam and opt-in, two different things, by the way, and we encourage people who are interested in getting to the next level with their insurance email marketing strategy. Canned spam and opt-in are two different things. So when you create your own list, whether it's in various ways, the producers collect it, you have some, you procure a list, you then need to get people to opt in. And there's a whole, we certainly don't have enough time to talk about that today, but that's a whole strategy in itself. However, then there's canned spam regulations. There's 6 critical regulations. Insurance agencies and brokers and wholesalers must categorically follow that. Everything from making the subject line agree with the content of the email, no fake outs, for example, to identifying who the sender is and the location of the sender, very important. So these things are available online. You can go to the canned spam, the government canned spam page, but for sure, before you engage in e-marketing or have any of your producers do it, make sure you're on solid ground. Now, WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. does not work with email marketing. So all of these agents who love, oh, I want to have a great big picture in the middle of my email, I'm going to send it out, it looks awesome, and they spend 3 hours with a graphic artist getting a beautiful picture. Well, this is what you can see. There's a picture, big picture on the left, at least you get part of the email. Then you have a picture on the right, you get nothing. Then you have a lot of pictures below, you get essentially almost nothing. And these came from major vendors. Assume you should have a predominantly textually oriented email to get your message across. As a matter of fact, more than half of the time, if you have graphically rich emails you're sending, this is what they'll look like. So that's a real good takeaway from today.
So now that you've reached out to these people via email, you have clicks, you have opens, you also have people on your list that you'd like to talk to, you need to be dialing the phone. You can do that internally, you can work with a competent appointment setting firm, but you have to actually dial the phone or all the other efforts we've made today are going to be for little effect. Start by writing a niche marketing pitch, a unique value proposition, of course relevant to that industry, key differentiators, again relevant to that industry, not general, that's very succinct, have an articulate and well-trained appointment setter make the calls, and capitalize on these opportunities we're creating by having a well-defined list, really great content, and an effective email marketing campaign. Also set up a lead handling process. So when appointments come in, the people in your agency understand what to do with those appointments, how to make them stick, and how to capitalize on the opportunity because they may not be used to this type of appointment compared to what they've done in the past. When done effectively, the results can be really compelling. There's a little sample on this slide where over a 15-week period, an agency had 115 appointments set up, closed 5 deals, had something like a 3 to 500% ROI, filled the pipeline, collected numerous emails, and is probably still benefiting from all these appointments that were set months later. So when done correctly, niche marketing can be extraordinarily effective. And we're going to take a couple of quick questions, but if anybody in the interim would like to contact us for a complimentary niche marketing review, my information is on the screen. The first question we have, Alan, is if I can do one thing today, what should I do to get started marketing to a niche?
That's actually a very interesting question. So if you don't have a list, you need your list. If you don't have a niche, you need a niche. So part of what you want to look at is, if you're a generalist, for example, you're selling in New England and you sell all types of commercial coverage. Take a look at your business and say, but I'm particularly strong in A, B, and C, or A and B. And say, are those good segments to market to? I'm particularly strong in transportation coverage. I'm particularly strong with EPLI. I have a lot of manufacturers. And then designate a piece of your website, a page for manufacturers. For example, we have a client who's big in healthcare and also sells other things. Well, they have a healthcare tab. Have a easily navigated tab to the area of strength that you're now trying to exploit. Get your e-marketing list that we talked about. Get that contact list, not just for e-marketing, but also for all the contact information and phone numbers. And now start writing content that will be of benefit to them, that would attract them. You can start thinking of running a webinar, doing email campaigns, sharing a blog, creating a newsletter. So it's that approach where you're not the sailboat in the middle of Lake Erie, for example, that nobody can find. You're a cabin cruiser on a pond, and it's a smaller pond. And so on a 4-acre pond, it's impossible to miss, as opposed to the little boat in the middle of a huge lake, which is very easy to miss. That's what you should do right away. And if you need help doing that, certainly we can help you, or other people out there can help you. But those are the first building blocks you want to put into place.
A related question that we'll take next, I'll handle, is actually how do I pick my niche if you don't have one already? Well, you need a niche that has a reasonable number of available contacts, a reasonable universe that you can attack. Don't choose a niche that's too narrow or too broad and you'll simply be lost. That you have the markets, competitive markets to attack, and that you have an agent or agents or you yourself truly understand, an industry that you have some base knowledge about. And if you don't, start learning about an industry, determine one that you think you can service well or better than the current agencies and brokers involved. So with that, today's web seminar is now ending. Please don't hesitate to contact me with additional questions or if you'd like a copy of the presentation. We hope you all have a great day.